they may want right after we get started. So our first presenter is Ed Voorhees, so please welcome
him. My name is Ted Voorhees, and I know most people in this class have done music-related products, and I have decided not to, but my product is called Catch Tone. It's an electronic receiver system to help aid wide receivers in football become better receivers. There's no relatively inexpensive technology to scientifically measure a receiver's performance. There is such technologies that can, but they cost in the upper hundreds of dollars. And my product will be able to measure the amount of force impacting the gloves, which, here, I'll pass this around to y'all. Y'all can look at this. This is just like a crude mock-up of what it's going to be. There's 5 sensors on each of the fingers and 1 on the palm. All these measure force, so the force of a football coming into the glove. Whenever the gloves hit the fingers, a little green light in a correct tone will let the receiver know that he's caught the ball correctly. If the ball hits the palm with enough force, then he'll know that he caught it wrong. In the game of football, the correct way to catch a football is with your fingers, not with the base of your hand or your palm. We'll also measure correct percentage of catches. The cost to manufacture this product will be about $60. The prototype that I'm creating now cost me around $96.40. Manufacturer's suggested retail price would be, I'd say about $100. I don't think this is too high because most high-end football gloves cost around $80, and none of them have the technology that this will have. My marketing strategies. I'm going to start off marketing to high school football coaches. My brother was a high school football coach. I know a lot of people that are involved in high school football in Louisiana. I have a coach who is similar. He coached me in high school, and he has a similar product. If I can bring it up really quick, it's not as advanced as mine, but this is kind of where I got the idea. This is his product. I've been talking to him a lot, and talking to his connections that he's made, and to see if we can maybe find some investors out there for this idea. I want to start sponsorships with football camps, high school football camps, maybe to showcase the gloves. Start off selling mostly in southern Louisiana to most of those high schools in that area. Then regionally move on to East Texas, and then hopefully nationally. Interactivity. The Catch Tone website will be able to categorize and upload the information from the gloves. So you can have each sensor will be able to be calculated on the website, which means that you can tell which one of your fingers is getting the most force, which one of your fingers should be getting the most force, and the force on your palm. It'll also measure the accuracy of how many correct catches you have. Once the gloves are sold, the gloves will come with a serial code, which, say, a high school that buys a pair will be able to upload onto the website. And then players can create profiles, and then they can practice with the gloves, and then upload the information from I don't know if you can really see this. This small thing is, it's a microcontroller, and they can upload the information from this to the website, and it'll categorize them. And then if there's other teams or other players that have them, it'll rank them. So it'll be like a little competition. And then the best guy at the end of say a football season who has the most accurate catches on the website can get prizes from the company or some kind of discount or something like that. Competition. My competition out of research is Nike, Rydell, Cutter Gloves, and Reebok. Fortunately, none of the above companies have a similar product on the market that I know about. So I think this is a pretty innovative idea. I haven't seen anything else like it out. My current activity, my prototype is nearing completion. I'll show you that right now. Let me see if I can. Okay. What you see here is the force in newtons, which is a measurement of force. It's 1 kilogram times 1 meter per second. So when I hit my palm sensor here, if you watch the bottom screens, it'll start to measure the newtons. So it is working. I have it. Currently, I'm in contact with high school coaches. I do have a very good contact with my brother, who is the assistant recruiting coordinator at UL Lafayette, Raging Cajuns. And I'm right now trying to convince my parents and other people to help me raise money for a patent, which is going to cost about $755. These are some of my projections. I plan to start selling these by January of 2011. And if, as you can see, if I can sell, which I don't think is a very high number per month, the gloves will produce $21,000 minus the cost of production, I can get an income of $8,400 from the gloves. So this is, I think, a pretty low estimate for 6 months. So, and then finally, Catchtone, I believe, is an innovative product that scientifically measures athletic performance. I think it does have a potential for a large profit, and it's a fun and interactive way to improve a football receiver skills. So, thank you. You guys have any questions or anything?
I'm curious about
What key is it in?
You're kidding. Yeah. I have a question.
Good question. That's the same question.
I'm assuming that people will be able to upload the data from each glove
Yes,
to the
correct.
website,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Have you taken into consideration the kind of software you'll and programming demand of creating that kind of reporting or a dashboard for owners and users of these gloves?
I am looking into that. It is going to be kind of expensive. I'm going to have to find a pretty legit computer programmer and software programmer to do that kind of work. So I am looking into that. It's probably going to be upwards in the lower grands to at least start it, you know. But I assume that
That seems light to me. It seems like this is going to be a pretty sizable programming requirement on the IT side.
Okay, well, I mean, I think that there's going to be such a small amount of users, though, that at the beginning, that if I just get a website up just to start off, then I think I can go from there.
Right. It's important to get an ugly version 1 up,
Yeah, exactly.
for sure, but
exactly.
but it's still pretty demanding computational issue, like programming issue. The other question I had is, do you have any plans for tutorials, custom designed based on performance of a particular glove?
Like, what do you mean, like to
Well,
show?
something that analyzes the issue that a particular receiver is having. And,
Oh, well, yeah.
And then issue them a
Well,
tutorial.
what I plan to do is on the website, like, you know, it'll have a picture of a hand, and on that hand, it'll show you which one of your fingers is getting the most force. You know, by color, like green is less, red is more, and that way, a receiver and a coach can sit down together and study that information. And be like, look, you know, like you're putting too much force on the back end of your hand when you're catching a football. You need to kind of come into the football more. You know, like, so yeah, that kind of information can definitely be put up there.
Can you explain what the glove that you showed us a picture of is? The glove, that palm device, what is that?
Oh, this is called a force-sensitive resistor. What it does is it measures force. It measures impact.
Okay.
So
is this an improvement on an existing product, or is it its own?
it's its own product. I haven't seen a product out there like this. I mean, I've looked up a pretty good bit of it, and I haven't found anybody else that's making this. I mean, maybe there's a company in research and development that's making this.
So
now.
what are those other things for? The ones that you showed us the photograph of?
Oh, the fingers?
The thing that you showed us the photograph of. It was like a black thing on the palm of the hand. There were actually photographs of a product that you were.
Oh
you
yeah.
showed us on the projector.
You mean on the presentation yeah.
Yeah.
That the black thing on the hand is this. This is it right here.
No. No, I'm talking about the other product that you showed us.
Oh,
You
great
showed-
catch. Oh, I'm sorry.
Great catch.
Yeah. Hold on, let me get that up.
Who makes that?
My high school football coach, he's a receivers coach at my high school back home. He developed this product.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is this an improvement on that product?
I'd like to think it is, yeah, because I mean I got the idea for it kind of from this, you know, and I thought I could kind of make it better.
Okay, so is this an electronic device?
No, this is just pretty much a small tennis ball cut in half with a strap around it.
I see.
You know,
I see. So it sort of rejects a football that's caught
yeah,
improperly.
exactly.
All right,
Exactly.
So this introduces electronics.
Yeah.
Okay, that brings me to my next question, which is, well, I had some specific questions about the way you're going to have people interact with your website. For instance, will they plug in these devices and sync them, or do these operate wirelessly?
No, they don't operate wirelessly. You're gonna have to put a USB cable to upload it to your computer.
Okay,
which
so you
is
sync
this
to
way.
your computer, and
Yeah.
this computer then goes to the website.
Yeah, and then you can upload it to the website.
Okay, is there a term of membership to the website, or a subscription model?
Yeah, I don't have a subscription model basically written out yet, but the way I was thinking about it is each glove will come with a code, and so like if I sold a pair to a high school,
Right.
then that would be that high school's code.
Right, but for how long would they get that service from you? Forever?
Yeah, so as long as they have the gloves.
Wow. So no upsell to a pro, to an
Oh no,
enhanced model?
no, there will be like
membership?
I will have I mean, yeah, there will be, but I guess I will start it off with, you know, there'd be like a high school category for all gloves that are registered with high schools.
Okay.
and then all gloves that are registered with colleges, and then all gloves that are registered independently that individuals have bought.
Can the gloves stay with the school, or are they fitted to the individual player?
I'm going to make them in different sizes. So you have a small, medium, and large size, so that a school could buy any different size they wanted to. And I mean, it's there. So
once a school has a full complement of them, would they need to buy any more, or
No.
is the market saturated then?
I mean, I think it's a good product because there's over 13,000 high school football programs in this country. So
High school.
I think it's a pretty large market.
Do they wear out? They have to be replaced?
I am going to have a warranty on them. Yeah, I am going to have a warranty on them. I'm trying to make them right now to where if a sensor does wear out, they're very durable sensors, but if a sensor does wear out, the user could just order sensors from us and be able to just attach it back in the glove themselves.
Oh, I was kind of hoping they would wear out. So, I mean,
okay.
you know, from a business
Yeah.
standpoint, I'm hoping that there's
Yeah.
like some disposable.
Yeah, but the way I like to set that up is if they order the sensors from me directly, and they can just hook them up themselves instead of getting them to send the gloves back and then having to.
Which brings me to my last point, which is it seems like the revenue is light for an electronic product. It seems like your costs are very high.
Because I'm not asking for a lot of money to start off with, because I think if this product is like sold organically at first, you know, if it was sold by someone traveling around showcasing this at high school sport camps or showcasing this at the high school teams, I think it could grow a lot of interest like that instead of just trying to.
Right, I'm just saying your per unit cost seems pretty high for something
Like
for an electronic
$60?
product.
I think $60.
I think your markup on electronics should be much better than that.
Okay. I mean, I've researched and that's what the cost of production is going to be, and I figured that no one's going to want to buy a pair of football gloves for over $100. So.
I'm more questioning the cost of $60 a unit.
Okay.
To
Well,
you.
that's the cheapest I've researched that I can make it. Now, if I had like professionals researching with me, then maybe we could find something, you know, cheaper cost of production. But
Okay. All right, thanks, Ted.
no problem. Any other questions? Or?
Well, the idea is interesting. I mean, you've got a sensor for fingers and so on. So why would you limit it to football, especially when it's in a music industry's context?
Well, I never realized. I mean, when I was first designing it, it was a project for a class, and when I first thought about it, I thought it'd be great for football. But then other people have told me, like yourself, that I think it could be used in different applications. I think it could be used for piano players to test, you know, their dynamic pressure and that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, I think it definitely could be used. Or how you said, a flautist, you know, playing like their pressure. I think it could have many more applications. I don't think I should have limited it to just football, but for this presentation and the market research I've done I think football is a good area to go in.
But then, if you're going to patent it, you probably have to look outside of the football area, not just because you want to cover that, but also because you might find people have already got applications outside of football that you're going to run into conflict with.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty big issue. I have been looking into it, and I've been talking to my high school football coach who developed this, and he told me that he knows of somebody else that is working on it, but it's a little bit different from mine. I don't know how different it is. So, I mean, I'm going to have to get mine to be pretty original for it to be patented correctly.
Yeah.
So.
Marketing. Seems like the marketing plan is a little light. I mean, do you think that is that because you want to ramp it up and you think you can sell?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be on the road myself selling these. You know, like I think. I wouldn't want to start a huge marketing campaign and huge. I'd rather start ground roots and small and you know start. And I'd rather have people like what I'm selling them and like me than pushing a product on them.
What are you doing in that regard? I mean, are you giving people a chance, the ability somehow to tell the story of these gloves?
What do you mean?
To each other. I mean, I would imagine that a lot of your marketing efforts, especially if you're not going to undertake a major marketing campaign, will involve allowing individuals to speak to one another about the gloves, and tell the story.
Well, one of the things I definitely would want to do, kind of in that same realm, is my brother is assistant recruiting coordinator for UL Lafayette college football team, and I'm going to give him a pair of the gloves and a finish so he can show recruits, you know, so he can tell people like, you know, come play for us, like, you know, we have ways to make you better, like we have, you know, like we're cutting edge, like I think when people start to see it and to see that there's nothing else out there actually like it, it'll be a pretty cool product, you know. I think it'd be something that people would be interested in.
Right. My question for you is there any sort of social media aspect to this that can be leveraged, since it's electronic reporting and there's an electronic interface, a dashboard?
I have thought about something like that.
Some way that people can
there's I'll show you a website.
compare their results.
I'll show you a website I've been researching to similar to that. this website's called kenramsey.com. It's a blog for all Louisiana high school athletics. So once you start selling this product, open up an account, start a blog about certain things like this, and let people just either trash my idea or talk it up or talk to themselves about how well they've done with it or that kind of thing. I mean, there is definitely blogs and resources I can go out there without spending any money. So then this is one of the big ones. This is the Louisiana High School Athletic Association's pretty much their blog site.
And I'd imagine you're going to you'll establish a Facebook page.
Oh, of course, yeah.
These kinds of things. I mean, that's more the question I had.
Oh, yeah.
Way that people can speak to each other about this, and that
Yes.
you can monitor the conversation the market is having about your
Okay.
product. Okay.
Couple questions. One is, do you think schools actually will permit this in their budgets? In other words,
I think private high schools. I think private high schools will. I think private high school football teams definitely. Your John Curtis's, St. Thomas More, West Monroe. Well, West Monroe's public. Evangel. I think a lot of Dallas. I think a lot of high school, college, more privileged high schools will definitely look into it.
but not public?
I'm going to market to the public schools, but I mean, I think if a public school had a good enough football team and they had enough money to put towards it, I think they would definitely look into it. Because most schools, public or private, that have a good football team tend to get a lot of money put toward that football program.
The second question is, have you thought about the athletic coaches trade associations? I mean, they all have organizations.
Yes,
for state
American Football Monthly. It's a magazine. It's a trade magazine. But it's like a coaches and athletic apparel directors get it. So I've been looking into that too, like putting maybe an ad in there, talking to some of those people.
And the third question is, if it takes off or it looks like you've got it debugged and everything, and you've got it patented, have you thought about licensing it to like a Nike or something?
I've thought about licensing it to Nike and possibly Professor Snyder mentioned this, Walmart. I think it could sell in Walmart, but I would license it to Nike or a secondary company to manufacture it. I definitely would. I mean, if the offer was good enough and it was worth my while to do something like that.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a couple. I really think, you're going after high schools, but it seems to me at the price point you're talking about, you might as well go after players. Forget about the high school, just go after the players.
Well, I mean, I figure that a high school football player only plays high school football. I mean, the percentage of going to play college or NFL is not very long. If I can get a connection with coaches and other like that kind of thing, then I think I could have a consistent market where I can just keep going back to this high school and sell more gloves, maybe a year later or 2 years later. So
It's true, and I think that the coaches would find it useful also.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is, it's been a long time since I played high school football, but we bought our own gloves. They didn't buy gloves for us. They
Yeah.
bought uniforms and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
they had gloves, they bought them themselves.
Yeah.
That kind of issue itself might be a little different.
I mean, I definitely would let individuals could buy them. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely.
Because
But
I think that's going to be your big market.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, I think you get people who are into that kind of thing and they're going to buy these kinds of gadgets. The other thing is, I really want to encourage you, don't mess around with this website. It's going to have to be right. It's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
going to
no,
be something that's halfway.
that's
If it
why I
doesn't
That's
work-
why I didn't want to show y'all anything because
Yeah.
I want to have it pretty legit.
If
so.
it doesn't work, this is not going to fly, because that's most of your value creation
Yeah.
comes from that
Yeah.
place. And I think it's going to be a bigger deal than you think. The third thing, and this is what really worries me, my guess is you're going to have a hard time patenting it. If you can patent it, people way overestimate the value of patents. And it'll not only cost you to get the patent, you'll have to pay to enforce the patent as well.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. But something like this, if Nike were to come this way and pick it up, they could promote it immediately and probably sell 20 million of these things a year.
Yeah.
So, it has that potential to be picked up by somebody who's already got the complementary assets
Yeah.
they need to make the thing work.
I definitely thought about that, but for this business plan, I wanted to try to prove that I could maybe do it myself.
Yeah, the
So-
good news is you're not spending $5 million to develop the product,
Yeah.
and then have it stolen by somebody else.
And I think his point about the individual, that's what I was thinking as
Yeah.
well. And what Billy was saying earlier, you want a turnover. And there are going to be at every high school 5 to 10 individuals every year. And a coach is going to hang around and have it for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So the fact that you'll be able to have a turnover is where
Yeah.
you'll be making money with it.
I think you're missing some potentially really big markets here, like golfers. Golfers have hand pressure issues. Almost every bad golfer grips the club too tight. And this is a feedback mechanism that could, you know, if you could set it up as a feedback mechanism, not just something you put on a website somewhere, but you know, it could.
Like an instant feedback,
Yeah,
right?
like a little earphone.
Yeah, I mean, that's-
they would
Or
tell you
illuminate a
immediately.
light that stays on, you know, on a hot finger.
Yeah, and that's or just it registers on a computer somewhere, but immediately you know it, you know,
Yeah.
and it would be potentially a really big item.
Baseball.
I never,
Yeah.
Swinging a bat, yeah.
I never thought about it like that, but I did realize, like, I really do believe too that this has a pretty big potential, like, as an idea right now.
So here's the thing: if you're going to get it patented, a $750 patent is probably worth about $750.
Okay.
And it's an incredibly complicated area of the law, and you could spend, you know, $100,000 on it, which is obviously not practical. But you ought to really talk to a patent lawyer and not do something just over the internet by
Yeah.
yourself, because the patent lawyer will tell you, you know,
I mean,
fairly quickly if you have.
Would you recommend that I get this patent immediately, or talk to
Yeah.
somebody immediately? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad's a lawyer. He's not a patent lawyer, but I'm sure he knows somebody. So.
Yeah, immediately, because as soon as it's out, once three
Yeah.
people know about it, it's not a secret.
Nobody steal my idea. Anything else? Or? All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
I think we did do. I think it-
Well, my name's Devin Morgan. My degree is Bachelor of Science in Music Industry Studies. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is called Giant Octopus. This is a music and arts company that I've been working with recently. Give me just a second to start my slideshow. View. Slideshow. Okay. So you can already see my business plans if you have your computers or if you have your papers. So I'm not going to talk about everything that's there. I'd just like to highlight the main points. Here's my mission statement. Giant Octopus is a music and arts facility that provides a platform for independent artists to develop and display their works while supporting their endeavors through social and commercial means. That's a lot of fluff, but it means that we host music shows which also feature visual artists. We've been doing this already without having a building, but my goal is to have my own venue where people will come in. I'll sell alcohol and listen to music, look at art. So to jump right into what we need, how much do we need? After 6 months of business, we can make $2,055. After 1 year, we can have, on that same pattern, have made $31,551. To make this happen, we need $30,000 for the startup costs and 3 months of rent and expenses. And we'll get into the full finance breakdown in a little bit, but that's just to tell you, start you off. So the strengths of this company, they're all listed there, but all-inclusive, that means that we're not just a music venue like most places around here. We're not just an art gallery. We're pretty much open to anything that can be considered art, put it all in the same door. Resources, this means that with the nature of the company being such a cool thing, so many people have responded really well. We've got a lot of venue owners, friends, and artists who would like to help us out, and this has also led us to get a lot of volunteer employees, which is really helpful, saving a lot of money. Owner's equity, that means that through my company, Goondocks Productions, which is a sound equipment company, I've been raising all the equipment that I would need for a music venue. So that's a significant chunk of an investment that I've already cleared in building up the sound enforcement. And that's on page 18 if you'd like a breakdown of a lot of my finances for the sound equipment. Loyola University, obviously I go here, but my partner Ingrid Anderson also got a degree in advertising from Loyola, and I feel like this music business program, obviously through this project and through other ones, is really helping me to get ready for this project. As well, we have a lot of advisors like John Snyder, Billy O'Connell, who have helped me out to make my plan. Variable events, it goes back to all-inclusive. We're not limited to any one kind of thing, and we're also not a nocturnal business like most bars and venues around here. I'm looking into doing workshops and daytime events to get people there all the time, and it'll also promote the other shows that we have, the bigger shows. It's somewhat of a revenue stream, but it's mostly just for promotion for my bigger events. And Head Start, I'll get into that a little bit later, but what it means is that we're already hosting shows before we even have a place. So just a couple obstacles for the venue. Everyone I've talked to so far has told me if I want to get a liquor license that it's probably not going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's just going to be very difficult. And zoning regulations are pretty strict when it comes to live music, and I've learned that it needs to be C1, and there's all sorts of other legal jargon about it, but what it comes down to is there's limited spaces where I can actually host this venue in the city. So, and for rent spaces as well, have to fall into that category. Also, it's a new company, so we have to face the challenge of starting off with no support and no money, building up a customer base. So I told you I'd go back to Head Start, and the first thing I'd like to mention is that this is not my first business venture. I told you about Goondocks Productions, which is my PA company, and that derived from my first company, which is called the Goondocks. Now, this was a mini version of what I'm planning right now. This was an all-ages music venue in St. Bernard that I started when I was 16, and it was pretty successful, but unfortunately, due to Hurricane Katrina, we had to close. But it gave me a good bit of experience, and it was a good time. So, going on through the Head Start, this is the name of my first event was Beer, Music, Art, and I'm pretty sure you can tell what we had there. Hosted at a friend's place called Studio 3, a warehouse in Mid-City, and we had 75 people show up and pay $12, which I think is pretty cool, and we gave away beer, and because of that, I feel we need to start making money off of beer as we lost $27. But still, $27 I feel is that's a pretty small loss for my first event, and I had put up around $500, made most of it back, and paid the musicians. Maddie was one of them. How much did I give you?
You gave me like maybe $100.
Yeah.
Don't
All
you
right.
love musicians?
Okay, so the next show we did, it was called a hat show over at Cafe Britannia. And this one we decided to go a little lower on the price because we weren't going to be charging for the alcohol. The venue made the alcohol money. So we charged $5 and we got 78 people to show up to see our 3 bands. We paid out 40% of the door charge and still made $100. That was pretty good, but we had limited expenses. After that, we did another show, most recently, March 20th. It's called the Giant Octopus Street Art Show. And I'd like to give you some pictures a little bit later, but this was a really great art show featuring a lot of graffiti artists from around the city. They did a 4-wall mural and a lot of installations. And everybody was really enthusiastic. One problem we did come up with was that we had to cancel the live music because the owner of the building didn't let us know he did not have a live music license. So this goes into why it's a good idea to get a head start, because we're overcoming obstacles before we actually get to them ourselves. But it was still a successful show. All these people that showed up gave us donations and they paid the bar, so we ended up making another $100 after paying our DJ and covering our expenses. So I think that's pretty good. So those are the shows that I've already hosted, and the next show that I will be hosting is May 15th at One Eye Jack's. It's called the Tattoo Art Show, and featuring the Lizard Man. It's going to be pretty cool. It's going to feature tattoo artists from around the city representing their shops, bringing portfolios, and as well we'll have a lot of tattooed models. And I'm looking into getting some burlesque girls to be there. It's going to be really cool. And so that's it for the events that I've already put on. But apart from the events, I've got a few action plans that are important, like radio promotion. We just recently, for the street art show, did an interview on WTUL, and I feel like it was very helpful, a good idea. And I'm also going to continue working with TUL and try to get on WWOZ for our next events. And one of the big action programs is word-of-mouth advertisement. I've talked to every venue owner and all the businesses that I visit to bring flyers and tell them as much as I can about the company so that they can then tell everybody else who comes into their business. And I'm hoping that everybody who I talk to tonight will do the same, please. And we also keep customer mailing lists. We send out emails asking for opinions on shows and letting people tell us what they would like to see so that we can get an idea of how we can have a successful business. So now we're going to move on to some numbers. So I told you about the startup costs, but here they are broken down. The website, which we have already purchased, for a year will cost us $30. This is a WordPress blog, but it does what we need it to do for right now, and it costs us $30, and it's free for us to maintain, easy to use. Stage materials, this is based on the Goondocks. I spent $700 to make a wooden stage, and I think I can do that again. Building deposit, with an estimated $3,500 rent, that would be the deposit. Alcohol license, it's all broken down. Comes out to $10,065 just to get started. So moving on, we have the finances per event. Now, these are based on all the costs that I've already incurred in the last few shows I've hosted, so I'm projecting that it's going to be similar when I have my own space. And so you can see that my event expenses come out to $19,488 for the first 6 months, and that my revenues, which are based on ticket sales and alcohol profits, come out to $46,080. That's after 6 months. And this is based on 8 events per month at 75 patrons, average of $8 to get in. So apart from those large events, we're hosting workshops, like I said, and smaller events. Workshops probably generate about $120 each month, and the small events about $1,400 each month. And like I said, those would be mostly for the sake of promoting my larger events. So here we have the breakdown for the first 6 months of business. And I told you about my startup costs. There's 6 months of rent, utilities, you see all the numbers there. So what it means is we're $2,055 over after the first 6 months. And so with those same projections, here we are after the second 6 months at $29,496. So that means after 1 year, we can make $31,551. Now this, I didn't mention, is with a limited bar, which is a way that I feel I can save money for the first year, limiting to beer and wine, because that also goes into another alcohol license that I'd have to get. So if I could start off small with also a lot of volunteer staff and doing a lot of the work myself and with my partner, I feel like this is a realistic estimate for how much I can make in 1 year. After that point, we'd upgrade to a full bar, start offering hall rental as a revenue stream. People can come in for their own events and pay me about $600 to $1,000. And as well, offer venue merchandise. And so that is the end of my slideshow. This is my contact information. So, do you have any questions?
It's not like a miniature CAC to me.
Yes, that's about right.
Well, why don't you be a nonprofit?
Well, from what I've been told by my professors, it seems like nonprofit is a really tough status to get. I am definitely interested.
The thing about the CAC is they get, they're chosen to receive certain funds from the NEA. They're selected arts presenter. So when you take people on a tour or whatever, they get the show. They have to pay, but they get priority. And also you might find that since you're engaged in the arts, that, and you have an educational component too, that you actually might be able to have more money coming in through grants and that kind of source of income rather than just trying to make other money. And you can make money as a nonprofit.
Right.
CAC charges money, sells tickets every day, but the money's set to go back into the business. So you might want to consider that.
I definitely will consider that.
Just as another revenue source.
Okay, thanks.
Talk to Jay. Jay Weigel.
Jay Weigel, that's right. Okay, I'll talk to him.
There's a string quartet called the Cronus, and they're probably the most exposed of all quartets, and they've been a nonprofit from day one, and they're making zillions of dollars in recordings and what have you. But they started as a nonprofit organization and have been for over 30 years.
The only difficulty with a nonprofit is there's no exit strategy. And you sort of top out at a certain point. So it's just something to consider. I've been on both sides of the fence. I founded a nonprofit, and I've been part of for-profit companies, both have succeeded and failed, but the issue is there is really no way out once you're a nonprofit. So if you decide to go that way, I would just say take it very seriously as an option and know that that's one limitation, number one. Do you have an exit strategy you've given any thought to? I mean, is this why don't you just speak to that for a minute?
Well, if I have people invest, I've been thinking, like I said, $30,000, I'd be offering 10% return after a year. And all I really have is my sound equipment, which breaks down to about $20,000, and debt.
But what do you want this company to end up doing? Where do you want it to go? I mean, do you want it to remain a small, privately held company that throws off profit? I mean, do you know, what do you expect to do with it? Where do you want it to be?
Well, I do want to retain ownership, and John made a good point saying a mini CAC. I like the idea of having an intimate environment, and I don't really want to branch out and do large mainstream shows. So I want to keep it small.
To that end, I was gonna suggest that you just kind of clarify your mission. Since you're acknowledging the fact that there's fluff in there, you certainly don't need fluff, right? And maybe find something that works more as a mantra.
Okay.
Tighten that mission statement down to something that'll really get you out of bed in the morning, because you're gonna have lousy days doing this job. You're gonna have days where you take a bath. You're gonna have days where you don't feel like doing it again.
Yeah.
How many acts did you say you're going to have? How many
We've been doing shows with 3 acts each time, and
I mean, how many
per month?
or,
that my projections were at 8 large events per month, and I've also thought about doing 4 workshops and 4 small events each month.
So you'll be renting out a place, and you'll fill it up 8 times a month with a major, whatever, performance, and then every other night it'll just be an open bar. And
No, I'm not going to have it open as a bar, but hopefully we're doing as many small events as we can each month, because art galleries tend to be in a place for an extended period of time, and we're going to be doing short versions of art galleries, but doing small events based on the same ones that were a part of those large events, the
So,
art galleries, that is.
the question is, do you think there's enough acts? 8, that's 96 a year. And then next year it's another 96.
Right.
Can you continue? Are you going to, and do you have enough staff to put all that together? It's a lot of activity.
Well, my volunteer staff right now is happy, and they're doing me well. But that is definitely an issue that might happen. I might run out of people to book. But as I projected it, I think that I can make that happen, because there's a lot of music going on in the city, and there's a lot of musicians as well as artists that I think I can take advantage of.
Do you see yourself more as a venue or as a promoter?
Well, right now I'm a promoter,
Right.
but I mean.
But ultimately, do you see this? Are you working your way towards being a venue that hosts its own events, or will you have additional revenue streams presenting larger events, and festivals, and growing this as a promotions business? Or
Well,
both?
first,
or both.
Both is my main goal, but I'm looking to have my own space and then to branch out. So, I mean, that's part of why I'm doing the shows right now, is just to build up the name Giant Octopus and get it into people's heads, so that when we do have our own space, they'll already recognize what we do, and then maybe after a while start branching out and doing other kinds of festivals, different events.
I think one of the things you have to be careful with is oversaturation of a particular group. And 96 is a lot in a year. That would be one thing, but I think you could look closely at Zeitgeist and what they're doing, because they're almost every night. They do a lot of film, they do music, they don't have much art, and I think they're not for profit. I think Zeitgeist is, but
right, yeah.
it would be something for you to look at, talk to the guy. He's really good at that. You're not looking at avenues of PR. You mentioned OZ and TUL, but you can get a lot of run for your money with the TP, the Offbeat, the Wavelength, Gambit, doing interviews, and getting into their weekly listings and what have you, that's really important because that's what people look at.
Yeah, I didn't
OZ
mention
is limited and TUL is limited. I mean, they're just one of many, so you'd want to get everybody involved with that.
Right, obviously, there's a sunburst of sort of promotional activities that you have to, and promotional notices.
exactly.
There's free listings. There are the concert calendars, the listings that are at the back of every magazine, newspaper that services the region.
And every once in a while, an ad in one of those, although that would be a cost for you. And one more thing, we're having a new mayor. And I think you're going to, I liked your conservative approach toward liquor license, toward music events, but I think New Orleans is going to be a little more positive toward that, I hope, because he is the lieutenant governor, and that's his job, is to promote this kind of stuff. And so I think we're going to see a lot of action. So I would take advantage of that.
Okay. Yeah, and as far as what you said about the magazines and such, I definitely see that that's a good way to get the word out. And I noticed just with my website and the statistics that Offbeat, after having an article published, really sent a lot of people to our website. So that's something I'm definitely going to keep at. Offbeat and anti-gravity in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple of things I think that you want to work on here. One is, and I know I'm not in your target market, but I really didn't understand what it was you were proposing. And even from your executive summary, you jump into how much money you're going to make. I don't care about that. I care about what's this going to do for the world. I mean, why is it that I would care about this? So I think you're capable of making us care about this idea. But I think spending the first 2 or 3 minutes of your presentation always needs to be about that, about convincing your audience both what you're trying to do and why it's important, why it's valuable. As I go through, I really wonder, one of the questions asked if this was a venue or really a promotion type company. It seems to me in some ways having a venue may place limits on you. You may actually not want a venue. You may want to promote events and put them on in a lot of different places. So far, the track record, you've got experience in doing this, so you sort of know what's coming, what's sort of coming down. But so far, your successful event made you $100. It's going to get old in a hurry making $100 on these things. There's a ton of work going into each one of these, plus all the promotion and so forth, going into it. So thinking about, exactly how is it you're going to capture some real value out of this, and well, I shouldn't say that because you're creating value by the art and by the promotional activities, but you're going to want to get paid for this too. And it needs to generate enough income that's going to keep you happy for at least a couple of years. So I think, 8 of these things a month, that's a lot. And I mean, some people are talking about the supply of performers, and New Orleans is a pretty good place for that, but still, to me, I'm much more worried about, let's say you have 95 different performers. That's 95 groups you got to talk to and sort of set the things up with and put all this together. It's going to be a big deal. I'm just concerned about it really burning you out pretty quickly, and you and your volunteers both. So.
There's probably 295 groups you got to talk to. Just
Yeah,
to
that's
get
right.
The 95.
To get the 95, yeah.
Right.
Although in some ways, I think what you want to do, and I think this is a good idea, you want to become identified by the artists as well as by other people who are interested in consuming. They come to you, hopefully, as this, gets going. And if you provide them with attention, that's what they're looking for. So I think ultimately that may happen, but
Oh,
start out
it will happen.
Are you developing relationships with arts bookers on a national level?
No, I've actually been just personally speaking with the individual artists.
Well, that
that's
could be
how
an
we go.
efficiency that you find very valuable. Getting involved with the people who actually, solicit these sorts of opportunities for the artists on a national level.
That would make things a little bit
You
easier.
definitely talk to Jay. And you might want to have an advisory board and put Jay on, and get some other people, but that are, prominent in the city. And I think that would draw attention to it, and also they may be able to advise you in a way that would be helpful, and give you credibility.
All right. I'll
And
talk.
you had $3,000 down there for insurance. Where'd that number come from?
I was speaking with my professor, Jerry Goolsby, and that's really just an estimation. But
Yeah, I was going to say, for a place that serves alcohol, I would say that's a better number per month than per year. I could be wrong about that, but that'd be my guess. And you really want to be careful, again, if you're making this presentation, be sure you're able to nail down these numbers so you know exactly what it is. Because most people look at this, and you've already opened one of these things, so you sort of know what you did it for then. Most people would look at what you're going to spend to open the doors, and they're going to say, you got to be kidding. That's not realistic. So you know, you're going to have to cover that up, I think.
Have you incorporated?
No, not yet. That's my next plan.
Because every time you have an event, you're taking personal risk that if somebody drives out of there and kills somebody or themselves, you're going to be, you know, the first person they turn to.
It's a shame, but
you
it's
may not
true.
be able to, you know, pay it much, but still, it's not going to be good for you.
Right.
And that's
Well,
why
I
you need
definitely will
insurance,
register
too.
the company very
Addie,
soon.
you want to say something?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this to you before, but I think one way you can kind of get around liquor license, and I'm not positive about this, is if you're a social aid and pleasure club. And that's like sort of a different idea altogether. Like I know the Big Top has memberships, and if you made it kind of like a club, people could get extra things, and then that might help you like with another revenue stream. And you could have like club member only events that, I don't know, it's kind of more fun that way anyway.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking about to start raising money is to offer membership for like $500 where you'd get to go to every event and you'd get like a VIP pass and things like that. But I'll look into the social aid pleasure club
Then
thing.
you can maybe parade too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, I'd look at the Zeitgeist as a model for that because they do have membership. Members get in cheaper, just like the CAC. You become a member, and it's a sustaining kind of fund. You know, if it was a nonprofit.
And you indicated the Zeitgeist as your nearest competitor, right?
Yeah, that's what it says in my computers. And I've talked to Rene Broussard.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah, I definitely respect what he's doing, and I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to ask him for advice.
Yeah.
Cool.
We better move on. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So who's next?
My name's Lisa Orlando, and I'm Music Industry Studies business track major. And today I'm going to present to you my my business plan for Schmidt Management Company. And I guess you. Okay. The problem with that I had found out that there are very few locally owned and operated artist management companies in the New Orleans area for alternative rock bands. So the solution to this problem is Schmidt Management Company. It's offering management and consulting services to alternative rock bands in the New Orleans area. It's locally owned and operated, and will have an office located uptown New Orleans. Our business model is that if the artist is making less than $20,000 a month, we're going to charge 15% of the gross monthly income. And if they are making more than $20,000 a month, we're going to actually charge 20% of their gross monthly income. The underlying magic or the competitive advantage that we have is that we're only taking on a small number of bands on the roster. That's going to allow us to really put in the time and effort to each band to really help them further their careers. The most that we each want to take on, there's 3 managers and 3 clients for each manager, so 9 total for the firm. We also have managers with knowledge about the music industry today. 2 out of the 3 managers are actually getting degrees in this program, the Music Industry Studies program. So we have 4 years of learning about music industry, how it's changing, and that. We also have hands-on experience in the music industry. We have all completed internships in the music industry. And also we have a niche market, which is just a small alternative rock bands in the New Orleans area. So we're really focusing in on those bands of that genre to really work with. Our marketing plan, we want to go ahead and create a website for to put up bands information as well as information about the management company. We want to make business cards, of course. We want to set up social media sites such as Facebook and MySpace and Twitter. Also a WordPress blog, and I was thinking instead of just updating about the news about the bands or about the company. Also having the managers maybe put their personal opinions on the blog and write about their personal opinions about maybe current music industry events or news that's going on currently in the music industry. And hopefully we'll gather an audience from the blog that will connect back to the management company also. Word of mouth, hopefully the social media sites will create a buzz and that people start talking about the management company as well as the bands. Mailing list to just keep all the people who are interested in the bands as well as the company updated daily, monthly or weekly. And then Google AdWords as well as marketing. Competition, these are just 3 different levels of competition. Sound Advice Management is a management company based in New Orleans, but they take on a variety of genres, so that's different than us. JPC Free Management / Carlson Entertainment, they represent alternative rock bands, but they don't just focus in on one location. They actually take bands that are located in a variety of locations. And Red Light Management, which just represents a variety of genres and variety of locations. The management team, it's going to be equally divided ownership between 3 managers. Myself, Lisa Orlando, and I'm going to get a Bachelor of Science degree in Music Industry Studies from Loyola. I've completed internships with Voodoo Fest, Network Music Group in LA. And then Michelle Schmidt is going to be one of the owners. She's also going to get her Bachelor degree of Science in Music Industry Studies from Loyola, and she's actually completed internships with Voodoo Fest as well, and Universal Music. And then Christine Schmidt is going to be graduating from LSU and get a Bachelor in Business Administration, and she's completed internships with Voodoo Fest and the Republic she's worked with also. I've estimated our startup cost to be $52,000 and $52,131. And doing a 12-month profit and loss projection, come up with a net profit in the first year of $12,673. And then after 3 years, coming up with a net profit of $22,775. The timeline, currently we're working with 4 different local New Orleans alternative rock bands and helping to manage them. And we hope to get everything registered as an LLC, get our website up, get our business cards in hand, get a secretary to run the office, and then move into a building, an office space by August 1st, 2010. And that's the end of my slideshow. So questions?
Can you help me understand what you do? What does a management company for a rock band do?
It just advises them and helps them grow their career, and basically just helps to further their career, give them advice on what to do, on how to get their name out and to grow the band.
It seems like...
You're also going to help them, with record deals and lawyers, and you're the consultant. You're tethered to that artist because you have a contract with that artist, and actually it's an exclusive contract. So all their business decisions are going to go through you. So that's a pretty inclusive proposition there.
You're the artist's face in all their business dealings. You're the the artist manager in today's business is sort of the hub of the artist's entire business life.
Okay.
Everything moves through.
I was trying to decide, are you a promoter? You're not really a promoter, though.
Well, I mean, at the level of bands that I'm talking about working with, basically helping them in all aspects. Not a promoter, it's just to get the name out about the band, to help them grow from being a small local artist to help them evolve into bigger things.
But are you just publicizing what they're doing, or are you actually like managing their contracts and their road shows,
Their performance schedules.
everything? Are you helping them with their financing?
Yeah, right now with the bands that I'm working with, I'm just advising them to help them, just in any aspect that I can give them any advice in.
What do they pay you?
Oh, right now I'm not charging, just because they're my friends' bands at this level. But that's why I want to start a company eventually, and then hopefully monetize that.
And that's why I asked, because you're charging 15 or 20%, which seems like a lot, I mean, for bands. I mean, so, and don't misunderstand me, I'm not saying it's not worth the money, but I'm saying for a band that's paying nothing,
Yeah.
now paying 15, 20%, that's a lot. I'd have to be convinced.
I haven't seen the numbers in here, but you wanted to have 3 or 4 or 5 bands
No.
Yeah.
legitimately. What do you expect these bands to be making in a year? How many gigs and so forth?
Yeah, I put some numbers in there. Just right now, like I said, local artists, they're not going to be making too much money, so we wouldn't be making that much money, just 15 to 20%. Probably 15%, because I don't think they'll be making more than $20,000 a month. But, yeah, just, I mean, the numbers are in there. Just local bands, local artists right now that I'm working with, I used in that project just to put some numbers to the idea.
When you say 20,000 a month, do you mean that's their profit, or do you mean that's their take?
Gross income.
Gross, so that's, so they would, and so you gotta feed several people off of the net out of that, so that's
Yeah.
pretty tight.
You also, you're running a small business, you're every one of those artists who are a small business, right?
Mhm.
So you've got to identify all the revenue streams that they could possibly create and have a plan to increase those revenue streams.
Yeah, I mean, in effect, an artist manager is the head of business development for the artist. And the value you bring are the efficiencies that you can introduce, right? You have contacts, you have ideas, you have the avenues of available to you to help them turn what they do into money.
And do these bands have agents in addition to you?
Well, in
In the ideal world, where if they
Yeah.
get big enough, they would.
Okay, so
But
they have to
until
get to a stage, okay.
yeah.
But up until that time, it's going to be Lisa's job. You may be actually booking jobs.
Yeah.
And when they ask you if you're a promoter, in a sense, you are going to be acting as a promoter, because you've got to get those guys or those bands on the road or in front of people, making money, having a revenue stream that comes in. Because it's hard enough just for them to feed themselves, and now they got to feed you too, and your staff. So you're going to really crank up those revenue streams. And there's got to be 30 of them, right? So you need to identify
Yeah.
them specifically. So in your plan, because that's going to, how you're going to make money is from the same revenue.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm missing is the way that you're going to, the specific actions you will undertake on behalf of a band to turn their creative output into money. And the things you'll be doing to put them in a position to, profitably engage a booking agent, to land a publishing deal, to do 200 dates a year. You're hopefully putting them in a position to enjoy the privilege of living in a van for 200 days a year, right? I mean, otherwise, what's the point?
Well, actually, since you put it in these terms, and your response to my question makes me feel a lot better about it, because presumably you will increase their revenue significantly, having you there. That's why I asked if you would be a promoter. In effect, you are sort of a promoter, but you're not what we think of often when we use the word promoter.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in semantics in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah.
lay terminology and
Yep.
industry terminology, but yeah, ultimately, it all begins and ends
Yep.
with her.
But, a big part of your pitch is going to have to be to the bands, and to convey to them the value that you're going to create for them, and the increase in their revenues that they're going to get as a result of working with you. And a couple of success stories will make this potentially really go places.
Yeah.
Right now, that's
Well,
that's
yeah,
a
and
chicken
you're-
egg problem, but
Just started.
Your value proposition, is enhanced with every success, right? Every successful band you have gives you a new set of contacts, a new set of relationships that you can then bring, leverage to the benefit of additional artists, and as you enhance their images and their careers, you're enhancing your own. It feeds on itself to a certain extent, but I guess I'd like to know more about your chops. You know, I want to know more about what you have that will attract me as an artist. Why I should stop doing it for myself and trust you to do it for me.
As a beginning level, you're going to have to do everything. The photographs, the press,
That's what I'm experiencing now. with
e-
some bands.
every aspect of it. And as they get bigger, then they get somebody to do,
Yeah.
you know, publicity. But you have to do it all.
And I think at some point you'll want to work out sort of a profile of what kind of band you're looking for, because I don't think you want to take everybody that comes along here. Your reputation hinges on their performance as well, and you know, I mean, I hate to say it, but there are certain bands that are kind of unreliable. They don't show up, and when that starts happening, you partially will suffer from that, because as you call those venues in the future and hope to line some things up, you get shot down because of those kinds of things. So it'll be a tough job.
I think that's a good point about identifying what you want from that band. Like, they should, most companies now will not take a band unless they have the following, they have a significant internet presence, they have a tour, they're selling stuff.
Yeah.
They may not be selling much of it, but they're selling. And so that, you might want to identify that, almost like a progress bar. You know, how far, and then you could actually make a progress bar part of your methodology. And you also might want to have an advisory board. Since you're unknown commodity right now, you know, I mean, here's a guy who's a manager. So if he would agree to serve on the board, then you're going to be able to identify it, and then you say, well, it's going to be hard for her to go wrong with Billy and us. So you might want to consider that. There are other people in the city that do that.
I would like to hear more about your criteria for the kinds of bands you want to work with. You know, I know Howard talks about, you know, I will not manage a band that does not tour. You know, I mean, do you have a criteria for the, you know, how are you going to pick artists that are worth your while? And they're high you know, that are high percentage roles for you?
Yeah.
I keep reading the statement that you have up there, the problem. It says that there's very few locally owned and operated artist management companies in the New Orleans area for alternative rock bands. Which strikes me as, are you sure about that? And if you are, then there must be a reason for that.
Yeah, how many
so
do we
if there's
need?
you know, if you got so many bands here, I mean, this is probably one of the richest minefields of bands.
Yeah.
And if there are very few management companies, I would imagine that there's a reason for that. And it may be that it's not a good market for managers, because the bands are just doing their own thing and they don't really want to be managed.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for a lot of jazz musicians, maybe they can do their own thing. But I have friends in rock bands alternative rock bands that I know who do need a manager and do need help and advice. And that's where I came up with this whole idea from, because, I mean, I'm experiencing it now with my friends who are like, oh, you're in the music industry studies program, can you help us, give us some ideas? And I've been doing that. So that's how, I mean, that's why I think there's a need for it, because I mean, I'm experiencing it from like people that I know, I guess. I don't know how big, but I would assume it's needed here. So.
Well, I mean, one way to respond to the question and be convincing about it is to know for sure that there's 9 bands out there that you'd like to work with right now. And again, when there's not, when the supply isn't, when the numbers aren't there, normally it would mean that there's a reason for that it's not, you know. And New Orleans isn't a place known for alternative music, I don't think. It's, as you say, jazz is something they...
No, not as much, but
Yeah.
I mean.
One of the things is a lot of bands that make it out of New Orleans get management in San Francisco and New York and Chicago. And the big management companies take them on.
Well, in truth, though, that's where the big markets are, right? I mean, if your bands become successful, they're going to leave, too. This is a big market for jazz, but
It's
for...
a tough call in New
Yeah.
Orleans.
So David, Patrick, y'all got any advice for Lisa? Because you're doing the same thing she's doing.
I mean, I think at this level, it's basically you have to be as flexible as you can with the kind of services you're going to offer. And initially, you're not going to be able to tap any sort of gross revenue because there just isn't revenue being generated. So you're going to have to work out fees or something if you want to make any money at all.
Yeah.
And try to figure out exactly what your assets are that you can present to the artists and convey to them, and a lot of that has to do with your network and connections that they don't have access to. So start maybe getting a list together of people you can actually connect them to, and think of the really like measurable things that you can do early on to really convey the value of your services to them. Because if like a lot of this stuff takes a long time to build up, but if you can do some early stuff early on and introduce them to some people who will impress them early on, and then kind of lure them in that way, it definitely helps a lot.
That's good advice. So thank you. So we've got 1 minute for a break. Oh wait, Mike Sam was supposed to see this.
He does?
I had dinner with him last night.
Okay, no pressure.
Check it out.
Okay, great.
Look it up.
Okay, great. Hi everyone, my name is Sammy Asmel, and I'm currently senior in the Music Industry Studies program on the performance track in trumpet performance. Today I will be presenting my business plan on New Melody Music Publishing, LLC. Our mission statement is that New Melody Music Publishing is a small independent music publishing company geared towards classical music and the acquirement of musical themes, new compositions towards the use for film and television. Some of our goals and objectives are to promote, protect, administer, and exploit copyright of musical works. One of our major goals is to assign 1 new songwriter and composer per month in the first year, geared towards classical music and also towards the use for film and television. I think in order to be a really successful music publishing company, you need to really focus and hone in on what kind of music and catalog that you would need. So again, we would like to acquire classical contemporary themes to be used not only in film and television, but also in the advertising medium, and to work along with various public relations departments. In addition, we would also like to develop new media and technology outlets for exploitation of our catalog through various marketing resources, which I will touch on later in this presentation. And long term, we would eventually like to branch out into other markets. Again, I think it's important to focus on one particular genre or a particular sect, but as our business grows, I think it would be wise to branch out into other musical forms as well. So our core business will be made from synchronization and licensing, production music, basically to have our own catalog and library, which would be from our in-house composers. Sheet music, which would be a small source of revenue, nonetheless an important part of our core business. Performance royalties, and also digital, which includes mobile, master tones, ringtones, and also online content as well. Currently, the marketing trend, it's a huge digital music market. Everything is geared towards online digital content, and there's a range of opportunities for us to exploit our catalog and to receive larger amounts of royalty opportunities. Some of our customers include our composers, songwriters, music supervisors, artists, and amateur professional groups, which would include school orchestras, ballets, composers, just any other filmmakers, student filmmakers, anyone who would be interested in exploiting our catalog. Questions that we have addressed: how will potential clients find out about our publishing company? Who will play the music our company represents? And how will we reach our potential clients? One of the major things we would like to implement is advertising in local press or music publications, specifically trade magazines. I think that would be really beneficial for our company. In addition, develop contacts in radio, television, and the film medium. Establish contacts with our performers, conductors, concert promoters, and theater, ballets, and opera companies. Again, we are geared towards more classical compositions and using those in various mediums. And I think and this is an issue I was just covering in class, that a lot of the national orchestras are going bankrupt because of ticket sales. And I think if we can use our music and market to a younger crowd, it would not be only beneficial for our company, but also for those orchestras who are not reaching a new target audience that would help revenues. Press releases would be very beneficial for our company. It would not only inform the public of new signings, but also of our new catalogs and keep everyone up to date with how we're in competition with other music publishers. In addition, more of the grassroots approach would also be visiting local venues on talent nights to scout and to network. And one of our major marketing strategies will be producing an online licensing music service where we will be able to offer digital downloads of our music, sheet music, and also it would be geared a lot towards music supervisors where they can just go on our site, they can access our music based on genre, duration, mood, various concepts that they're looking for to film for, to hone in for whatever music they're looking for from our catalog. Some of the strengths of our company is that with a music publishing company, you can really derive your income from a variety of sources, which include syncs or public performances. Again, when I mentioned about new media outlets, I see a lot of companies gearing more towards using their music towards greeting cards, karaoke, even they're using music in stuffed animals, and that's still generating income for their company. So that's a realm that we would like to delve into. Also, publishing is very well protected by copyright law, so we would definitely be on top of any kind of form of copyright infringement. In addition, we do have strong management skills. We are efficiently run. I have experience with interning with Universal Music Publishing Group last summer, where I had the very unique opportunity of interning in each of their departments for 2 weeks at a time. So I was exposed not only to royalties, finance, global finance, film and television, and also copyright. So I can see how all these departments are interdependent upon each other. And that's why also in my management plan, I make sure that we have a broad spectrum of management. Some of the weaknesses in our culture right now, we are subject to a lot of high levels of piracy, and that's just a given, and a lot of other higher-end, large-scale music publishing companies are feeling it a lot more than the smaller independent companies. In addition, we also are a new player in the music publishing world. We're competing with publishing groups like Universal, Warner, so that is something that we will have to tackle within the first year. And lack of systems, where we'll need to develop a more systemized profit and operational technique. Opportunities, the advances in technology, there's an easier way to create and distribute music than there was maybe even a few years ago with, again, the new media outlets like karaoke, even using your music in Guitar Hero. All of those things would be ways for us to generate revenue. And that goes along with the new platforms for distribution of content. Some of the threats that we would be facing are this free and shared musical mentality, where we feel like it's a right for us to download the music, and it's out there for the public. Continued growth in active file sharing and piracy. And also, if we face a weak music market, that means that there would be less varied publishers. So since we are geared more towards classical and classical music and compositional theme music that can be used in musical themes for film and television, that might be an issue that we might face. For a financial plan, the projected growth rate is quite strong in the first 3 years. Our main sources of income will be generated from sync licenses, performance, royalties that are monitored by ASCAP, who we will be affiliated with, print, and other royalties that would be generated. The revenue is reliant upon the level of acceptance of our company, current digital market trends, and also the drive of the marketing force. Our year one revenue is $101,350. That's what we are projecting for just the first year alone. The major costs are going to be management salaries, which include royalty clerks, financial clerks, creative A&R department, and hiring a business legal affairs consultant. And a lot of it also would be dealt with marketing and promotion and really getting our music out there and exploiting our catalog to be used in order to generate more income. copyright registrations, and operational expenses, the startup costs for a building, for supplies, all of those inclusive things. So our startup first year, although it does seem like an astronomical amount, it's $690,000 and $915. However, I am very sure in our company that we would be able to generate enough revenue. And legal, we will be affiliated with ASCAP and the Harry Fox Agency in order to track our royalties, and also to make sure that we do get our performance income as well. Copyright registration with the U.S. Copyright Office to make sure there are no forms of copyright infringement, to know that those musical works belong to us and no one else. Also contracts and agreements which will be negotiated by a business and legal affairs consultant who in one sense could be almost the backbone of the company, because we want to make sure that all of our contracts are set in stone, whether it's a publishing deal, co-publishing, single song agreement, admin deal, whatever it may be. And that is my business plan for New Melody Music Publishing. So I would welcome any comments and feedback on my plan.
I love this idea. I think it's a great model. I think there's a ton of potential there. I think that when you look at an artist like Zoe Keating and the career she's created for herself as a modern classical cellist, Mark Isham, people like that, and if you're looking to specialize in classical and new classical compositions, I think the potential is enormous for this. And I think maybe you're taking on too much in terms of initial startup costs, but I think what you need is good people, not necessarily a great space or anything like that. But I think if you can address the HR component of this thing and really put together a great team, this is a business with a great deal of potential. I think that some of your concerns aren't really concerns. I think the threat of the free and shared mentality about music being free and shared isn't too great a concern for you, because this is really a business-to-business offering. You're a B2B concern in that your client is a business in the copyright owner, the creator, and businesses on the other side that you are bringing this content to.
You wouldn't need to worry about that at all.
I think it's your friend, in fact.
Yeah, you need to make those relationships as a publisher. I have two. I'm curious if you have looked at the potential of doing radio and television beds. There are 5-second, there are 10-second, 15, 30, 60, 2-minute, 3-minute, and it's a huge market. And there are conferences for that, and you should contact a guy named Steve Arnold in Dallas. Steve had a kid going to Tulane, and he took some classes here, donated some equipment to us. By the way, the classical niche, I think, is really cool for you, because there are all sorts of strip music, beds for all types of advertising, and classical is really classical.
And I like the idea that you've incorporated a pre-cleared music library into your model,
right,
because it's necessary, and especially when you're talking about beds, you want an editor, a creative person, to be able to go to your site to look for, look through a well-organized catalog according to mood and feel and instrumentation and things of that nature, and find the answer then and there, buy it from you then and there, without any additional permissions, without any additional.
You just click a button, you have agreements with them, they use it, the flow comes at a different time. It used to be catalogs 2 inches thick on paper and CDs, 20 or 30 CDs with all these different types of things, and it's all done online now, and it's very quick and dirty.
I've noticed on some of the other, I actually took a look at Fox online music service, and just aesthetically, it's just very easy to access, and all of the things that they offer is something that I think would be easier for customers and less hectic and just to the point.
Most publishers have something like that now. Familiarize yourself with Rumblefish, and familiarize yourself with Pump Audio, which was just acquired by Getty Images, a year ago. because obviously they Getty Images made its living selling pre-cleared photo images, and they immediately saw the parallels in music, and there's certainly a target for acquisition. You could be. I'm sorry. What I'm trying to say is that they are a potential acquirer of what it is you're doing. I would imagine that a deal. I mean, do you have feelings about it? About doing a deal with a larger entity, ultimately being absorbed by a larger publisher?
Possibly doing, I remember mentioning an administration deal with a larger publisher. I think might be something in the future. But for the first year, I'd like to see how we do on our own and then figure out.
Well, you need to build value.
Right.
So how do you get the music?
To build our catalog. Well, one of our goals is to sign composers and songwriters. So at least each month, a new client. So we would like to go out to different venues, possibly advertise, even going to ASCAP and BMI expos that they have, and that's a huge forum for songwriters right there.
So if I'm a songwriter, why would I go with you versus go with one of the more established entities? I mean,
Although,
have you looked at the market to see who you're competing against?
yes, I have. There is an association just for independent music publishers, and then obviously we have the big fish who are Universal and Warner. And although that they are more established, I think that we are more focused towards really honing in and nurturing our songwriters. I feel like sometimes it's a little more of a let's get this out kind of machine. So I think we want to develop our songwriters and that would in end generate more.
That's the answer I was looking for. You're an artist development. You're an artist incubator at that point, and it's about growth and attention to the artist. And I think artist development is the key to your success.
Again, I haven't read this, but you would be in charge of hiring musicians and studio costs to record this music.
Yes.
Is that right? That's a big expense, especially startup,
That's
especially
not your-
classical music.
That's not your only way, because you're going to have a lot of European companies that have classical music that you can license.
Right.
Okay.
And
Would that be through like EMI?
you need sub-publishers.
Yeah.
And you could go to Mike, and Mike could hook you up with other companies, his companies throughout the world, and you could take those recordings and license that music. And the advantage that you have is because you are a classically trained artist, you know good from bad. So you have a filter, you can pick the good stuff, and then you can offer it to your clients. There's a lot of music out there in that arena. And since the major companies don't specialize in that, they're specializing in hit songs, you've got a real niche for yourself.
Right.
I would suggest a woman who started at your age, a publishing company, and now has 4 branches, Sarah Haracote, Haracote. She's based out of Oslo, but she has New York offices. She's from New York. She left the United States when a certain president was elected, and she just has now come back. But she would be somebody to contact to get ideas. Use my name if you want, and you might get a job out of it if you didn't do this,
You could also get music from universities and conservatories.
Absolutely.
Their own like
Yeah,
orchestra,
Get NEC,
student
get Juilliard,
recordings.
because they're not monetizing their music. This university is not monetizing their music.
Yeah.
So why not monetize it? And it's a big favor for them. It's scholarship money or whatever. It's a revenue stream.
Yeah.
And there's just tons of those out there.
And many of the compositions are in the public domain, right? So.
Yeah, and it's also, you have a little bit of a selling advantage there, because you can tell your clients, this is recorded by the Juilliard Orchestra, this is recorded by, there's a little bit of a woman fuzzy thing to that, too.
Yeah.
It's not just clear-cut business.
You mentioned that you were interested in grow. You imagine you might grow by expanding into other forms of music, other genres. I was concerned. Did you mean that, or did you mean that you'd grow by exploring other outlets for this niche form of music? I would discourage you from becoming like everybody else.
I guess my next step would be actually to acquire more jazz. Would be my next step.
That's what I was thinking.
That would be hard. And if you
It's
need
also
you
classic.
need a home run hitter, you need
That's real musician.
a major client that will draw other clients.
Terrence Blanchard.
Philip Glass type, or Terrence Blanchard.
Terrence Blanchard, yeah.
Actually, Philip Glass came to my mind too.
You should, by the way, your company may come here in the fall, in the spring. If you're,
Oh, yeah, Doc mentioned that to me for their conductor residents, yeah.
You keep using the word "we." Who's the "we"?
Are there other employees besides you?
Oh, yes. In my management plan, I mentioned royalty clerk, financial clerk, someone in order, I feel like we need to have a royalty clerk because that's
Right.
the basis for.
But you don't have anybody specific yet. It's just you.
Just me for right now. I'm still, this isn't something that I want to do directly next week. I mean, I want to make sure I meet people who have the same vision as I do, who work as hard as I do. I haven't found those people yet, but I do know what I want their responsibilities to be, and I do know how to delegate those tasks.
You mentioned press releases. You would want to get press releases in trade magazines, not general.
Not in trade magazines, no. It would be,
No, in trade magazines, business to business. That's the kind of publicity you want, not general.
You don't need consumer press.
You don't need.
oh, okay.
You don't need the New York Times or anything like
Right.
that. I mean, that'd help it. And then there are conferences to attend, just for media, that you would make the contacts there. They're on a semi-annual basis for television and radio, and it would be really important for you to hook up with that.
you need to budget for that.
Yeah, and that's expensive.
And you need to go to Medium and scoop up some of that European product. Because that's the international marketplace right there.
Yeah.
that's why I think I mentioned ASCAP, they hold a songwriting expo, and I feel like that would be the perfect place to scoop up new songwriters and to advertise ourselves there, to set up a booth and really expose ourselves. But
Just to circulate is enough.
You do have two problems. You're trying to get music and sell music. You got two markets. So you need to have a plan for each.
okay.
We probably should move on. Anyway. Thank you for doing that.
Nice job, Sam.
Thank you.
I was just gonna say, if you can somehow try to figure out how to get in touch with the music supervisor for Schmidt right now, if that shows anything like The Wire, it'll probably progress up through social strata, and they could easily start talking about classical music and get beyond like just the jazz stuff, and that would be like a really good place to start pushing.
So let's take a half a cigarette break. 5 minutes.
All right, hello. My name is Alexia Plummer. I'm a music industry studies major with vocal performance concentration. And my organization is called First Initiative for Versatile Education, or affectionately known as FIVE. Now you see here this little girl, she looks bored. And yeah, and now that, and I'll talk about this a little later in the presentation, with George Bush's No Child Left Behind Act, he has taken out the arts in our schools to focus more on literacy and mathematics. So leaving children like this not available to explore their inner creative selves, which leaves them bored at times. Here. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't hear. That's just a little clip of a 5-year-old boy. He's a Korean boy, and actually this next year I'll be teaching English in Korea. Just want to get an understanding of the Korean education system and to bring it back here and how I can help reform the education system, and to see like why the arts, such as this, the little boy shows, why other cultures believe that the arts are of great value. With my organization, I plan to, like I said before, put the arts back into the public school system. And going along with that previous slide, developmental growth and has been proven to help the learning process and to help cross socioeconomic boundaries. So with programs such as FIVE, I will be introducing and I'll talk about this a little later, programs such as classical languages and arts such as design and piano, percussions, but like I said, I'll talk about that a little later. And with my organization, I plan to just start this first as a nonprofit organization, but in the future, I do plan on being the Secretary of Education to help reform this education system, and this will be one of my initiatives to put the arts back in the schools. I can't say that enough. Funding, initially funded by state and federal grants, private donations, and business sponsorships. Foundations such as the Ford Foundation has helped many organizations, such as my organization, to help better and make aware of different social problems that are in the United States and all across the world. Programs like Adobe's software donation program will be used in our design department to help, of course, make things that designers make. I'm not a designer, so I don't really know the proper term to use. And also we'll be going to businesses such as the Anheuser-Busch company, and what they do, they match gifts. So my startup will be $71,500, and that would just help us with our building fund, teachers, paying our teachers, and paying administrative staff. And we will also be applying for state grants, like the Office of Cultural Development. Initiative, like I said before, once I do become the Secretary of Education, this will be an initiative that I will put into play because of the No Child Left Behind Act. Like I said before, it focuses on literacy and mathematics and has done away with core subjects even like spelling, history, and other programs. So Obama actually has an education reform blueprint, and if I were the Secretary of Education now, I would be on that staff to help him reform and build his blueprint. Versatility, these are some of pictures of my organization that my organization offer. Like I said before, we do voice lessons, concentration in vocal performance, also in choir, drums, percussions, guitar lessons, and like this picture here, theater. Education, my program won't just focus on the arts, but it will also encompass the core subjects that No Child Left Behind Act did away with, like spelling, history, and other subjects. So with this program, children will be able to come and not only get the full art, I guess, experience, but they will also be helped with their upcoming school year and just make them readily, make ourselves readily accessible to them so that the next semester or next school year, they will be prepared for whatever challenges they may come across either in the LEAP testing or just their curriculum. And this will be our building where we will be housed. Initially, we'll be housed at a school, and so that the children will be in, relatively safe environment. Will be a safe environment, and will be an environment that they know. And this school here, I was just amazed because like this here is an auditorium where This is actually a middle school, and I was really excited to see this put into play because we don't really see middle schools with an auditorium like this. And it's been used, and what's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but he has been to the school, Randy Jackson's brother. I can't think of his name right now. Toya, can you help me? No? Okay, but it doesn't matter. But just people do find that the arts are beneficial, and if we just take the chance, give the chance to students, it can happen. So, and I know you can't see it, but in the back of the auditorium, there's a picture of studios that this middle school used. So there's a dance studio, a choir room, and a percussion studio. And that's basically my plan. I'm open for questions because I know that you have plenty.
You did see that Times-Picayune had an article today or yesterday.
Yes.
Arguing your point.
Yes.
Somebody has done this arts education, grant, they got a grant to do it at a school.
Yes, and actually I just read that, and a 7th grader said, it's fun and it keeps me out of trouble. When I'm occupied with something, I don't get into trouble. And I was really excited to see that because our students, our children now, have been deprived of the arts, leaving them sometimes without the opportunity to explore, like I said before, explore their inner selves. And some children don't have the opportunity to play football, basketball, and other sports. So I'm willing to open myself up to public schools and to private schools for no cost because I want them to be able to experience this arts culture, yes.
Is this a camp or is this an after-school program?
Initially, it started as a 5-week camp, and the more I thought about it and the more I worked on this camp, I want it to be a year-long thing, but campers are not obligated to attend year-long, but we do want them to.
What's your background? What's your major?
Music industry, vocal performance.
So you're BM?
Yes.
Cool.
You've done a really good job, I think, of illustrating the need for what you're offering. And I don't think you'd have a second's trouble getting a lot of people interested in it. But I think packaging it is going to be important because I think that the question about where's it going to be and when is pretty critical. I can tell you, and this is partially, No Child Left Behind, but partially some other things. School days are getting longer and longer, and this drive toward away from the arts and toward the more rote kinds of things and some more, so-called math and science-based topics is becoming pretty overwhelming. I think right now, as a summer program, you'd have at least an opportunity to capture a marketplace and get a number of people who'd be interested and would want to send their kids to the program, and might also be able to use existing school facilities to run the program in as well, which would be pretty helpful, I think. But doing it as an after-school program, I think that's going to become tougher and tougher as time goes by. There are schools now in the U.S. that run from 8 to 5. It just doesn't leave any room for it.
I actually work at a school. I'm also a tennis coach at Arthur Ashe, and I am aware of the fact that the school days are extremely long, and that's why, I do believe that with my program, I'm going to have teachers that are, I guess, they know the situations that the children are in, and they understand that, hey, they've been in school all day long. Most children probably wake up in the mornings at 6 o'clock in the morning, get on the bus for 7. So that's a long day for children. So with my program, I do hope to give energy back to the children. So I don't just plan on focusing on like I said, curriculum, because I wouldn't want to just be in the classroom all day long just focusing on this. I have to learn this, this, and this. So I know I want my program to be fun and just an energy booster.
Well, part of what you're offering does that really well. Another part doesn't. I'm telling you, you're not making Latin interesting. I don't care how you cut it. They're going to sleep. That bored little girl, wait till you get her in your Latin class. So to me, the designs part, the music part, the arts part, dancing, that's something you're going to be able to do really well and very effectively, even with tired kids. That's a very different move. The languages, I think, is going to be much more difficult to make that different than their current school day. I think it's just going to be a big
completely
challenge.
agree with that.
Well, and I guess too, it's because like when you think of like the languages, you think of an everyday classroom style language curriculum. But with my program, again, because it is an arts-based program, I do plan to incorporate the arts, like theater, into the Latin classes, singing into the Spanish classes. So it wouldn't be like a normal, everyday type of learning, environment. Because I forgot where I read it, but part of Obama's blueprint is to use the arts to help math and to help reading skills go up. So I think that's something that I would also incorporate.
I think that should be more a part of your pitch, the fact that you're trying to build sort of new neuronal pathways for kids that help them for the penny to drop in subjects that we all want them to learn and emphasize and reemphasize, things like languages, new ways of teaching through the arts and these applications. I think that could be a very persuasive.
I think getting back to what they were saying, all of us agree that if you focus it on the arts, as just like you said, they're learning Spanish through an artistic motor skill of singing or whatever. If you make it and really focus your niche on that, I think you have a really great chance of succeeding with that.
I think it's very persuasive when you incorporate those ideas.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I just think that if you, the way you presented it maybe is, it sounds almost like an alternative to school because it's so broad. But if it's really arts focused, which is what kids are not getting in school, and I'm involved with a charity in Chicago called Marwin. It's actually an after-school school, but it's very narrowly focused on the arts, the painting, drawing, computer arts, and things like that. And they use that as a way to prepare high school kids for college and careers. And that very narrow focus has drawn tons of money. It's just, it's become a nationally recognized
and here in New Orleans, you might create a new niche that NOCA may be leaving behind, because NOCA is trying to become an all-encompassing school. That's their focus right now, is to try to become a full-day school. So all of these people would be going there, and you wouldn't get these kids splitting to go to NOCA at noon, and you might be able to take advantage of that, and it wouldn't be the same caliber of musician or artist or theater person, but it would be a void that could be filled with something like this.
May I have your attention, please? The Monroe Library has begun extended study hours for Loyola students.
I didn't say this in...
will be locked in 30 minutes. Okay. Starting at 9 p.m., users will enter and exit through the computer lab entrance. Loyola students may remain in the building after 9 p.m. Students who do not have a Loyola ID and visitors will be required to leave the building.
Throwing us out, man. They're throwing us out.
Is required to enter and remain in the building.
Go to the bar sooner.
That sounds like Arizona's immigration
We're going
blitz.
to take this outside.
You're going to find that there's a lot of people, a lot of organizations that are interested in what you're talking about. You might be able to align yourself with these organizations and have an advisory board of some key people in that respect. I mean, you're going to be the Secretary of Education someday, right? So you may as well start learning who those players are. You might actually look into that school in Chicago, since Mr. Lang has a connection to it, and see what they're doing. Maybe you could even talk to them. But you have hold of it. And by the way, all the scientists that I know think of themselves as artists. They think they're just like music, just like art. They are creating inside of a structure. So I'm not sure how that could help you, but we tend to think of math and science engineering, and the things that are non-artistic over here, and then the artistic over here, not quite that split. So you might be able to, just like you're using language to enhance, music to enhance language, art to enhance language, you might do the same thing in other places. Anyway, you got the big idea.
David has a question up there.
Yes. Yeah, I just work for talent members that use it, and I'm not get in contact with them at all, but they definitely have like a very similar target market.
Okay.
They would have contacts with school boards and music teachers.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Something, quick comment. There was a bill passed into law 2 years ago. It's Act 175.
Yeah.
And it dictates that there should be some form of arts education in school systems and so since you are marketing to the very known area, I would take into effect that there are supposed to be arts education programs in the school. And the thing that's lacking is not that there is a program, but it's that there isn't efficient funding to get the supplies to do these programs.
And that's
Just wanted to.
and that's actually like the core of my organization, like making aware of the importance of, you know, funding for the arts and programs. So when I do become the Secretary of Education and working with Obama's plans such as this, I will make it a point to, you know, allocate monies to the arts for public schools. So
But
that won't happen.
That Act 175 was mandated, but it wasn't funded.
Right, it wasn't funded, which is a huge issue.
So that's one thing we should do something about. You won't be here to do it, but that's what needs to be done. Anyway, any other observations? Thank you so much.
Somehow, I don't think it's going to be my kind of music. I'm just guessing.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Good? Cool. So I'm going to let you guys know about what I have been doing and what my business partner Jamil has been doing and how we're going to come together and turn that into Revelty Group. We're going to become a multi-member LLC, and we're going to talk with the tax accountant on the tax implications of filing taxes as a corporation versus doing pass-through taxes to us. And what we do, artist and tour management. So what that consists of is managing the entire career for a music artist from start to finish, basically developing them a whole business model, running it, and that's what we do for this artist that the CDF asked out for, G-Eazy. And tour management is going on tour with major artists and organizing and coordinating all of their transportation, ground, air, and all the different logistics that go on with a live show. We also do marketing and social media, and we have various clients for that we can run different campaigns for. Also, Street Team Promo is a business we're already in, and we have a pretty good size of the New Orleans market for that. And video production is a category we have done some work in, but through this plan and funding, we will be drastically upgrading equipment and going into a higher tier service level. So the company consists of Jamil Davis, who was Lil Wayne's road manager and is currently Drake's tour manager, and myself, and I am G-Eazy's manager. I also run Street Team's promo for a number of venues, theaters, and other types of entities in New Orleans. And I've also worked on video projects through Albert Burning Productions, and there's a letter of recommendation in the back of the document from them. And also just doing a lot of commercials through them. That's kind of a higher level, and we've also doing indie video projects through Tyler E, another artist I work with. So here's some of our past clients. You can see Wayne and Drake there for tour management clients, and then the rest are Street Team Promotions clients. So Republic is definitely my primary client, and we basically handle getting all the handbills out for them, hiring people to promote a jazz fest, and if there's someone at the convention center, we want to get all the handbills out to them, getting them on cars, putting posters up around town, coming up with alternative campaigns. Like we have a display in New Orleans Music Exchange for them currently, the music store that promotes Republic shows, and then similar but slightly different services for these other entities around New Orleans. So we're not starting from scratch. We currently have $13,000 in assets in video, sound, and basically music recording equipment. We also have around $13,000 invested in our management artist, and over $7,000 has already been recouped. So here's a sample video of some of our independent video production work, and it contains a number of different video projects that we've done. And then also we have, here's the stuff we've been doing with, not on the video end, but on the artist management side. So this is a show we did with Electronic Takeover at Mason. And then here is G opening up for Wayne on his Before I Go tour, which was a really good promotional and just kind of opportunity. We saw a lot of rise in his digital sales and stuff. Here's some photos from past events at Republic, and here's a picture of a glow party we did at Republic a couple Fridays ago. And we'll actually be bringing this whole stage setup with us on tour this summer. And it's been, this whole aspect has proven a good selling point for booking different venues and stuff. So that kind of plays into, we treat each artist and project like it's all kind of the same. So if it's a promotion client, we want to come up with a theme, and we want to tie it all in together, and we want to just incorporate all the aspects. So again, with G, we have this show, and we coordinated to have this glow-in-the-dark theme, a music video that matched that theme, and everything just kind of comes together into like an integrated plan. So what we need is $32,000, and this will be financed through $8,000 of family, friends, and personal money. And that money will be, can expect to pay out at the end of year 3 with a 15% interest throughout the 3 years. And so there will be no interest payments made during those 3 years. And and then also a $24,000 loan or private investment from an individual. And so there'll be no payments throughout year 1 while we get our in a better cash flow position. And then repayments and interest will start on year 2, and that will all be repaid at the end of year 3 at 10% throughout the time. Basically, the reason why we're doing this is with the industry and the really low barriers to entry with technology nowadays. Everyone can have a computer, edit video, and produce high-quality music and stuff. So we're really just taking these independent artists and these small businesses and taking them to the next level with video production or street team promotions or marketing, depending on what that client needs. So, like I said, we do marketing, artist and tour management, street team, and video production. The way we do this is through myself, Jamil, and we're going to outsource and hire most of the other positions on a per project basis. So if we get a video production project, we might outsource the editing portion to one person, and that would all be based in the fee that we get for that project. In addition, our target market for is musicians for video production projects, street team promotions, marketing, and also small businesses for all of these same services except for artist and tour management. So our pricing is as follows. For artist management, depending on the nature of the artist and their clout, will have 10 to 20% of their revenue. Tour management will be from $400 to $3,500 a week, depending on the size of the tour. And then road management is $300 to $1,200 per week, again, depending on the size of the tour. And video production projects completely differ per project, and whether it's for like a small business, a music video, we need to rent the widescreen studio, green screen studio, etc. And street team promotions is currently billed at $10 per hour with all the expenses covered. And as the company solidifies, we're going to move that into more to a monthly fee-based thing, so we can have longer-term clients. We also will offer alternative marketing, which will include full kind of campaigns coming up with displays in the shops, like I had mentioned, for Republic and other things like that. So here's basically the categories of our expenses summarized over the 3-year period. And here it shows the loan amounts and the interest expense we'll pay over those 3 years. And currently, we're, to show our commitment to this company, we will have a $2,000 monthly salary, so we're not doing other activities outside the business, taking our time. And this will actually be lower than Jamil's current salary as Drake's tour manager, but in getting the funding and putting the company together, we're just showing investors and potential loan officers that we're willing to, really like bootstrap and do what we need to do. Some of the other expenses are listed here. Administrative expenses also include flights and hotels to South by Southwest and CMJ, because that's where we feel like our best networking opportunities are. And then also a tour vehicle, and the budget for that is $15,000, but it comes out to this with interest and over the period of 3 years. And we'll also be getting additional sound equipment, so we can offer the artists that we manage a full PA system as they go out on the road. Over the 3-year period, here's our revenues. So we can make $180,000 on video production projects, a little over $30,000 in street team promotions, and but these numbers are also kind of they're realistic, but they're also kind of a stretch. So we'll have to work and have the company come together to make this possible. And then human resource outsourcing is another kind of service we offer, which entails a lot of people contact me and kind of our company regarding different projects that come up, like getting promotions for Jazz Fest or hiring a lot of people to work the Windows 7 thing at Voodoo Fest. So that's going to include some of the fees that we take for basically staffing events that people come to us for. So our competition includes a lot of different types of entities, management companies, marketing firms, video production companies, ranging from a friend with a real cheap camera who's willing to do it for free, all the way up to like the highest level. And we'll be able to work our own little niche into that, because we'll have really high quality video projects, as you saw in the video I showed, but also at a really affordable price. And then we're also kind of competing with staffing companies based on those events. Our objectives basically just follow the cash flow analysis on what needs to happen by when and how we plan on doing it. You can see that in the plan. And that's the company. Do you have any questions?
Think about your marketing plan. There's no marketing plan specifically for any artist, right, in this document?
No. We do have a marketing plan like for G and like for other potential artists that come in. And I can include that in appendices later. But
yeah, that'd be good. I think if you're trying to raise money, depending on the success of marketing these artists, the plan would be kind of a good thing to have.
yeah, and actually in my revenue projections, I didn't include any artist management revenue, because we wanted to prove that the company has less risky and more kind of confirmed concrete revenue sources, like the street team promotions, tour management, and marketing services and video production. And all of those are, like, we'd like to be shooting music videos, but we can shoot a wedding if we have to. And that's kind of in our risk management section too, and that details what we're willing to kind of step out of just to be sustainable.
So you have these different pods of activity that you're going to use, you're going to farm out to other people to service.
Right. So someone can come up to us and say, like, oh, I want this video, and so I might shoot it for them, but then I might give all the footage to, like, Reagan, for example, who does video editing as well. And so we have arrangements with, like, his company and a few other people like that that we can add to the opportunity.
Gentlemen? got nothing to say?
Well, I guess I'm trying to understand the boundaries too, because you seem like a promoter, but also a manager. So again, kind of going back to some of these other questions, I mean, do you see yourself as doing both of those things, managing groups and promoting them as well?
Yeah, definitely. And as a manager, you're just the hub of that artist's business. So you have to come up with ways to promote them, what their message is, and you know the products that we're going to make, how we're going to promote it with stickers or handbills, and then going on tour. So yeah, it's all the services kind of feed into each other and kind of go out at the same time. Like for example, as an artist manager, you need video production, you need tour and artist manager, you need marketing. So why can't we just offer the same services to third parties, small businesses around the city?
Yep.
What I like is the fact that you've actually started doing it. And so there's, at least it seems more reality around it than, you know, I would have thought. And so, you know, I'd say I give you a lot of credit for taking the initiative and actually putting things into process. You know, the question is, how do you know, where do you want to take it? Is it, and I think the question before about, do you want to be more of a promoter, more theatrical, or more, you know, doing that sort of thing, or do you want to be the business guy? Can you do both, or do you have the talent, you know, not personal talent, but you have the team to do both? And is there a model out there that you guys look to as somebody you might emulate? Because you're going to have to figure a lot of stuff out if you want to do both.
Right, and that's been the hardest part with forming this company, is bringing all the different influences and services together into one offering. And we've noticed a lot of, there'll be like independent video production companies that will do some marketing, or that Robert Burning that I work with. That's kind of where I found the synergy in it, is becoming a marketing company that offers video production, so you don't have to outsource that to a different company. But then just finding a balance between what you do in-house and what you outsource. But yeah, I think I poorly answered your question. But.
Yeah, no, you did.
Being a one-stop shop is definitely an appealing thing. I think what I'd like to see is a little less about the past. You know, I appreciate your achievements, and summing them up in a concise way is great, but spending less time and energy on your past achievements may help your argument a bit better, so that you can focus on capabilities, the efficiencies you bring to the enterprises that you're helping, and the particular skills. I mean, you've got the credibility. I think you should try to spend a little bit more time speaking about the kind of doing that you plan on engaging in.
I thought the video was really effective. I thought the fact that you had the media and the other stuff, I think that was all very effective, and I think it was persuasive.
I mean, you're more of a doer than anything else right now, and that's evident. You know, I think that what I found myself craving was just some of what do you do for me if I'm your client? What's the magic going to be that you bring to me?
Right.
I'd want to see that communicated a little bit more clearly.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is you're going to do different things for different artists, so that it almost like maybe you're just going to be feeling your way along because different artists will sort of want to be represented in different ways, and you're just able to do them.
Right, in which case I think case studies might be helpful.
Yeah.
Like, show me how you know, so that I can put myself, if you tell me a story, you know, I put myself in the role. You know, I'm immediately creating a simulation when you tell me the story. So give me a case study, tell me a story, let me imagine it's me you're helping. And then at some point it's going to become apparent to me what value you'll bring.
How do you expect to get other artists? I mean,
Right now we're just real selective on what other artists we look for, because it's such financial and time investment in that artist. And I mean, we turn down obviously more artists than we work with. A lot of people come to us after they see like what we've done with G, and when we do a video project too, we get another client each time almost, because one of their friends is like, oh, I saw that video.
Yeah.
So really on a referral basis has been working for the past while. But.
You know, the case study idea is a really interesting idea, especially if you can show, like with G or whoever, what you did for that artist's career. financially, not just, you know, not just the video, which is, or whatever, but actually what are the results now for, did you change the financial profile for the artist?
Right.
Because if you did, then you got a product.
Right.
Then, and once you, what I think we're all groping for is, do you have a product or do you have, you know?
Right, a list of
100
achievements.
products?
Is it a list of achievements or is it a product? You know,
Yeah.
and I really think that you do have a product. I think you just have to sort of uncover it,
Yeah.
or put lines around it for me somehow. Frame it.
Yeah, it's really, like I said, it's what we're already doing and just bringing that into a more formal company and
Right.
and getting funding so we can take it to the next level and get over those little hurdles we have right now.
Well, I definitely sense that struggle because you're struggling with it here with us. But that's not a big deal.
But he won't have to go to classes.
Well,
He'll
that
have the time.
But he will have to go out and raise money.
Yeah,
so
right.
won't have
yeah,
to
you
go
will
out
have to
and
pay the electric bill.
Right.
So. All right.
You feel pretty confident about your plan, though, right? It's working.
Yeah,
Your
I
company
mean,
is working.
regardless if, we basically have a contingency plan built into this. That's basically like if we don't get funding, we're still raising that $8,000 from family, friends, and personal money, and we're still going on tour this summer, and we're still getting a vehicle, and so it's basically just a watered down, more toned down version of the same.
I did want to ask you about that actually.
There's also contingencies built into this plan. Like I put a $3,000 seed money expense, so it looks like we're losing $3,000, but it's really just to sit in the bank in case random things come up.
That's a good idea. You think you could pitch this to Richard Williams, the banker that was here?
Yeah, I was hoping to just kind of get some more percentage numbers from him on what kind of what they look at on these types of loans, and I was also trying to show that we can manage risk by having really like the past clients that we've already been doing, and it's just continuing that right on.
I'd just like you to look at the projections regarding owning versus renting a tour vehicle.
Yeah,
You know?
it's pretty expensive to rent. I've seen it's about $100 a day just for vans.
But it's an expense at that point. And
Right.
when you own the vehicle, you own the vehicle.
Yeah.
So
I looked into it quite a bit for that, and I feel like if we get like a solid $10,000 to $12,000 vehicle, putting like $3,000 down on it, that'll last us a couple tours. And really, with renting versus owning that, within 2 tours we'd make up the difference in renting.
Okay, great.
And
That's
so
exactly what I wanted to hear. I just wanted to know that you looked at the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. And I also think
include
that
that in there,
you have
too.
video production capping at about $10,000 a project, and I think you're way underselling yourself in that case. I think that the video production budgets are considerably
Well, it would
more.
be much higher, but that's
considerably higher.
the fee for the company that we look at bringing into the company.
Okay.
So like say it's
As a line
$30,000
item.
budget, yeah, it would be like, producer, director.
So that's just your fee over and above what the
That's-
costs are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
still a
just
little light,
companies.
still a little light, but I get that, as a
Yeah,
line
I was
item, I
trying to just
understand.
maintain like really realistic.
Okay.
And how do you
what we've been
distribute?
doing.
How will you distribute videos and
Video
music?
projects, all of our clients pretty much just want it on YouTube, and we also give them a DVD copy that they can use for, displaying at like a club.
You're not in the process of producing video for public consumption. This is a B2B concern as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. My business plan was for a startup I'm going to call Nola Soap Box. It's an incubator for local arts. The plan's a work in progress. There's multiple phases involved with it, and it's designed to, over time, help us reach an overarching goal to establish a community arts center. A short anecdote. When I was younger, my mother, she was a very loud and opinionated woman, and if she felt strongly about something, she would let you know about it, and she would rant and rave to her heart's content. And at the end, it was usually a one-sided debate, and when she was done, she would insincerely apologize for saying, "I'm sorry, I'm up on my soapbox." So it gave me this mental picture since I was a child about getting up on a soapbox to help yourself get noticed, to help, to let people know what you're about. So let's see. I started thinking about this a couple years ago as what I wanted to do with my music industry education, and that's how Nola Soap Box was born. As I said, the plan is built to realize multiple overarching goals, leading to the culmination
May I have your
of
attention, please? The front doors are now locked. Please enter and exit through the computer lab entrance. Loyola students may remain in the building at this time. Students without a Loyola ID and guests will be required to leave at this time. A Loyola ID is required to enter and remain in the building. Thank you.
My plan is designed to realize multiple overarching goals and over time lead to the culmination of what I really want to do with all this. Nola Soap Box will evolve from a small fry production company to a center for the arts, featuring practice space rentals, promotional merchandising and marketing services for independent artists, and when all is said and done, a professional quality recording studio and a one-stop shop. Our mission is to become, like I said, a one-stop shop for artists and musicians within the city, looking for comfort and support throughout their creative processes. We'll provide them with the tools to help to garner and retain attention while making connections and forging long-lasting and lucrative relationships within the industry. Our vision is we strive to assist and encourage and educate and inspire all the independent musicians throughout the city of New Orleans through the production of small-scale community events, the provision of do-it-yourself marketing, merchandising, and promotional services, and the eventual establishment of a practice facility and community center, giving artists a place to create, to hone their craft, and surround themselves with like-minded individuals in a nurturing and productive environment. We want to provide a stepping stone, like I said, a figurative soapbox for these musicians to stand up on, and we're going to offer a wide variety of services for them. Phase 1 out of 3 phases of the plan involves the production of a small-scale community festival, a music festival geared towards creating artist awareness and bringing non-traditional New Orleans artists to the stage of a New Orleans festival. I hope to hold these events annually, and just give smaller artists a chance to get to the stage of a New Orleans festival if they're not right or not big enough for Voodoo Fest or Jazz Fest, etc. Phase 2, it's hard to say when we'll enter it. We need a lot of capital, and I think this business plan needs a lot of revision. But once we do obtain the capital and we feel it's the right time, we'll apply for loans or grants if we're eligible to acquire a large commercial property, preferably one with a large building or warehouse where we can that we can renovate and we can establish the physical infrastructure of Nola Soap Box. We'll continue to host the events annually, hopefully on our own property, eliminating much of the costs associated with live event production. But as Devin talked about, it's hard to obtain these properties and those permits. But once we acquire the property, we'll start sectioning off the rooms. 50% of the building is going to be for practice spaces. We'll start soundproofing it to the best of our ability, double studding the walls and floating the floors. 30% of the building will be for larger practice rooms, for choirs and such, or larger touring acts. When they're on the road, they want to rehearse or decompress while on the road. And they're also, the larger practice rooms, when not being rented out, they can be used for communal spaces, used for workshops, gatherings, or jam sessions between our members. And we want our members to make friends and connections within our gates, strengthening and furthering themselves in the community. At this stage of Nola Soap Box, with the foundation of the new facility and the community center, we plan to open the doors to all musicians within the city of New Orleans. Phase 3 is another one that's further down the road, but that's when we start refining the final 20% of the building and converting it into a fully functional recording studio. I want to put this recording studio within the same place that I hope these artists and musicians already feel really comfortable and at home in, where they can go walk right down the hall from their practice space and record an album or just track a demo or just a song, whatever they want to do. While we will market the studio throughout the city and the region, our members will receive significant discounts for the recording fees. Again, as I mentioned, we have a number of overarching goals. Mainly is artist expansion. We want to encourage and reinforce the artists through their creative processes. We want to establish a safe haven where they can create and collaborate and keep their equipment safe. We'll assist them in designing of logos, press kits, band photos, merchandise, posters, flyers, and other promotional materials. We want to help them generate a buzz, and in turn they can help us generate a buzz. We'll help them get the word out on their art and their music, and they can help us generate a buzz on our institution, our events, and our services. Another one of our main goals at Nola Soap Box is to create awareness, not just for the artists, but for the community. We want to open up the locals' eyes to the rich culture beyond that, which one may read about online or in tourism publications. We want to create a sense of unity amongst the citizens of New Orleans and reveal the common ground on which we all stand. Onto our market analysis and target. There's always going to be competition within the music industry in every aspect and area. It was 60 years ago because it was corrupt and exclusive, and there is now because the market's so saturated. It's so easy to record and get your music out there. There's always going to be bigger shows and bigger artists and other places to turn to for help with marketing, designing materials, and you can always do it yourself. But I'd like to think that we'll provide more than just these simple services. There's a great deal of studios throughout the city that where people can go and record, and there's plenty of, as I said, organizations and companies artists can turn to for help in marketing and merchandising themselves. But again, we're offering more than these services. We hope to diminish the tension between artists and their landlords, their managers, their designers, printers, or promoters. We want to be their landlords, and I want them to manage themselves. I want to help them, along to design and their own merchandise, promotional materials, and help them along in their journey. There are also a number of advantages to establishing such a business within the city of New Orleans. It's a very historically musical city. And with so many musicians and artists within an industry that's deteriorating and evolving, and with all the artists and all the venues crammed into this little city and all the options a concert goer has every night, every artist is being pushed by one another to find another edge. And it's not a bad thing, it's very positive motivation, but each artist is looking for an edge. And while we're not going to help them put on better shows or anything, I feel as though we will be able to put our members ahead of the rest, whether they want to rent a space monthly or just for a few hours a week because they can't play past 8 or 9 at their house, or they just need some advice or an outlet or help with a demo or help designing and printing flyers or even placing them around the city. And once we establish, as I talked about in phase 1, once we establish this New Orleans Festival to showcase these non-traditional New Orleans artists who aren't right or big enough for Jazz Fest or Voodoo, we'll give our occupants an annual outlet or open house to spread their art. As for our target market, our main focus, we're going to be appealing to 2 different groups of people, but our main focus is artists and musicians, because without them, we don't really have much of a purpose. There's no real specific demographic within the artists and musicians. We plan to just appeal to musicians in general. They need a place to practice, store their gear, they need help marketing themselves, creating merch, or just want to be around fellow artists in a friendly and creative environment. They'll fall within our target market and we'll have something for them. As far as our live event productions go, the community, the fans and followers of the featured bands play a major role in our plans. Local New Orleanians, their sense of community, their open minds and eclectic tastes, and their overall propensity to just get out and get up and enjoy experience their city and all it has to offer. That's what inspired this plan and nurtured it along. So we're targeting them, ages 16 and up, people with disposable income looking to expand their horizons and discover some new local music. As far as our human resources and operations, in the beginning, operating out of our apartments and dorm rooms as we have been, Nola Soap Box will be run by myself, my brother Mitchell Barrows, and a friend and local promoter and the man behind Simple Play Productions. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar, Ron Richard. Ron's going to be in charge of aligning the artists, booking and promoting the festival. My brother Mitchell will be head of sound management. He's developed an extensive PA over the years, and he's run sound for gigs from Bad City and Metairie to orchestral performances at UNO Performing Arts Center. So he'll be in charge of engineering the live sound for the festival, and I will oversee all of the operations, from obtaining permits and securing rentals and independent contractors and managing our volunteers. As we enter phase 2 with the establishment of the facility, we'll hopefully begin again hosting our events on site. We'll see if we can manage that. As the business evolves and begins taking shape, we'll bring on a few employees and interns along the way. Once we have the means, that is, we hope to bring on a design team to help take our members and occupants' designs to new heights they may not have been able to reach with my limited design skills and preference to the DIY feel. We'll bring in interns, hopefully from local universities, to help with the upkeep and maintenance of the facility. Promotions, obviously, that's a big thing, and live event production. They'll also help monitor the spaces and assist in the creation of printed materials and such. And as the caretaker of the building, I will again oversee all operations, deal with the renters, visitors, and new members, and assess their needs and desires. At this point, I'll start focusing mainly on the development of the center, while Ron and Mitch will take over most of the duties associated with our live events. When Nola Soap Box is ready, and ready meaning we've raised the necessary capital and designed the layout for the studio, we'll enter phase 3. I've spoken in length with Scott Bielman, a former assistant engineer at Piety Street Studios, bassist for the Zydepunks, and a former teaching assistant of mine at Delgado Community College, and he seems really excited to help design and build the studio. So he's going to be a major asset in that. Obviously, labor and materials and equipment will bring significant costs, but phase 3 will not be rushed, and once the studio is complete, we'll hire an in-house engineer and open our doors to any and all musicians and bands, not just in the area, but from wherever they want to come in. Next is financials. I'm not going to go into detail with the cost because numbers make me crazy, but you can check that out in detail in my plan. I am going to touch on the possible revenue streams. For phase 1, obviously ticket sales is huge. Another one will be our artist market fees and vendor fees, and then we'll have festival merchandise such as t-shirts, posters, compilations, koozies, what have you. Phase 2, of course, we'll still have our revenue streams from our live events, but we'll start having space rental fees, and you can see the plan for that. We'll have fees for our services in promotions, merchandising, and marketing, and we'll start holding workshops, and we'll have fees for those as well. Again, as we enter phase 3, with the same revenues from phases 1 and 2, the studio will bring in a great deal of capital through studio rental and recording fees, and again, we'll start having more workshops geared towards recording engineering, doing the artists along, and that's about it.
We have time about for 1 sentence each from us. You guys want to take a shot?
I like your idea, and there is competition out there, but the competition can be really scraggly. You know, some of the rehearsal spaces are a bit to be desired, and if you can really do it fine. What's the one down on Chapatulas? I was blown away by their ideas. I don't even know if it's happening, but same kind of idea, and it really opens your eyes to potential for that. And there are a lot of people that have a need for playing, practicing, recording.
I didn't get that you were mainly a rehearsal facility. I was kind of struck by the idea of you as an incubator, and wondered whether you were acting as a gallery, you know, representing the work that was produced there, and having an ownership stake in any of it. Is that part of the plan?
Maybe I'm trying to put on too many hats. I do want to be a one-stop shop. I do want to be a rehearsal facility. I do want to be an outlet, a venue, if I can, to help, you know, to help showcase these musicians. But yeah, maybe I'm trying to do too much. But I do want to. I do want to have a practice facility.
Okay.
I kind of like the way you staged it. You know,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
there was a certain amount of realism about it. You're going to start out, you know, basically is a way for artists probably to associate and affiliate and get help and everything, and then create a facility. And then build the facility out so that it actually has some large revenue potential.
Right.
But the idea of the 3 stages, I kind of liked it because you're not sort of like trying to go right to the end. You're going to need a lot of money to get to the end. A lot.
I like your word, less tension between landlords, management, and all of that. That is a great mantra, to be that person that facilitates these these crazy egos. I mean, that is a great, I've never heard that before. I really like what you said there.
Yeah, I really want to break the wall down between, you know, the artists and those people. You know, I mean, I've dealt with rental space managers and engineers, and I don't know, the idea of having this one-stop shop where people can, you know, practice and play and, you know, learn, I mean, I just think it'd make them a lot more comfortable.
I would feel comfortable with your presence and what you're doing right here. I would, as a crazy musician.
Yeah, I think you made in some ways the best pitch we've seen tonight. Using your mother and the concept of the soapbox, leading into what you're trying to do, and clarifying things. I think the incubator metaphor is the best one. I'm suspicious that this is not a financially sustainable business.
Right.
I'm suspicious that it's going to require a public arts grant to make it run and be supportive. And I think, you know, incubators, we talk about incubators, but incubators don't make any money. You'll see some for-profit incubators, but they don't make any money. They do create value for the local community, though, I think, if they're well done. And I think your attitude and mentality is a good one for an incubator. It's not a good one for somebody who wants to make a lot of money. The figures may make you crazy, but they won't make you nearly as crazy as if you get the doors of this place open and there's no money. That's what'll make you crazy.
You need those figures.
Yeah, you do. So. But I think a grant, you could make this pitch and raise some grant money to get this thing started, I think, in some places, and demonstrate value creation for the community and keep it sustained that way.
That's why I think, or I hope that the space rental aspect of it and the workshops and stuff like that, those revenue streams will help keep us afloat.
I think being comfortable with the fact that this is a values-driven enterprise is key to it.
That's right.
Right? Look how it moved the panel. You know, everybody is interested in your values and that particular proposition. That's your asset, and that's your particular value, right? Is the strength of your vision for it. So yeah.
Give Sean a big hand.
All right.